exposing the secrets behind successful businesses, starts with a simple click. Welcome to Business Diaries. Like everything's on a permanent discount? Right, let's talk about deflation. Now that word, deflation, it sounds a bit technical, doesn't it? Like something economists mumble about over lukewarm coffee. But honestly, the basic idea is pretty simple. Deflation means prices are going down. Yes, you heard that correctly. The price of that shiny new telly you've been eyeing? It could be cheaper next month. Your weekly shop at the supermarket? The bill might actually shrink. It's a general decrease in the prices of goods and services across the entire economy. Think of it as the opposite of inflation, which is when prices generally go up, making your wallet feel a bit lighter every year. This is the other way around. Now, when you first hear about falling prices, your brain probably does a little happy dance. And why wouldn't it? Cheaper stuff. It sounds absolutely brilliant, doesn't it? Imagine walking into a shop and everything, literally everything, is less expensive than it was last week. That new pair of trainers, that fancy cheese you only buy on special occasions, even the boring stuff like toothpaste. All of it, costing you less of your hard-earned cash. It's like the entire country has turned into one giant closing down sale, where the bargains just keep getting better. Your purchasing power effectively increases, meaning each pound in your pocket can suddenly buy more. This initial perception of deflation is overwhelmingly positive. Who doesn't love paying less for things? It feels like a win. You get more for your money. That holiday you thought was out of reach? Suddenly it seems a bit more affordable. The car upgrade you've been putting off? Perhaps now's the time. It's human nature to be pleased when things become cheaper. We all work hard for our money, and the idea that it can stretch further is incredibly appealing. Deflation on the surface looks like an economic miracle, a gift from the money gods, a true blessing for the average consumer, or so it seems. So the immediate reaction is, this is fantastic. Bring on the deflation. Everyone loves a bargain, and deflation promises an endless stream of them. It's like the universe is giving you a pay rise without your boss having to do any awkward paperwork. Your savings seem more valuable because they can buy more. The allure is powerful. It's the economic equivalent of finding a 20-pound note in an old pair of jeans, but on a national scale, and happening repeatedly. What could possibly be wrong with a world where things just keep getting more affordable? Well, as it turns out, quite a lot actually. Okay, so falling prices sound great, but here's the sneaky little problem, the catch. The bit in the small print that no one reads until it's too late. If you know prices are going down, and will probably keep going down, what do? Do you rush out and buy that new sofa today, or do you think, if I wait a month it might be even cheaper, maybe I'll hold off? And that right there is the beginning of the trouble. People start delaying their purchases. It's a perfectly logical individual decision, of course. Why pay more now when you can pay less later? Let's take an example. You need a new laptop. Yours is slow, it crashes, it makes that weird whirring noise. You see one for £500, but then you hear prices are falling. Next month, it might be £480. The month after, maybe £450. So, you wait. Your old laptop continues to wheeze, but you're determined to get the best deal. This isn't just about big, expensive items either. It can affect smaller purchases too. That slightly pricier brand of coffee? Maybe you'll stick to the cheaper one for a bit longer, just in case the fancy stuff comes down even more. Every little decision to wait adds up. This widespread hesitation to spend money is what economists call reduced consumer spending. It's a fancy term for everyone's decided to keep their wallets firmly shut. And when everyone stops buying things, or at least buys fewer things, the economy starts to get a bit shaky. It's like a car engine that isn't getting enough fuel. It might chug along for a bit, but eventually, it's going to splutter and stall. That initial joy of cheaper prices starts to fade when you realize the wider consequences of this collective waiting game. The individual logic of waiting for a better price turns into a collective economic headache. So, while it seems smart to wait for a lower price, if demand for goods and services plummets. Shops see fewer customers, online orders dry up, car showrooms gather dust. It's a classic case of what's good for one person can be terrible if everyone does it. Think of it like everyone deciding to take a shortcut that then becomes massively congested. Suddenly the shortcut isn't a shortcut at all, it's a traffic jam. This collective postponement of consumption is the dark side of those lovely falling prices. Now what happens when people stop spending their money? Well, businesses start to feel the pinch. And they feel it hard. Imagine you own a shop selling, I don't know, novelty garden gnomes. Suddenly no one's buying gnomes. They're all waiting for the price of gnomes to hit rock bottom. Your stockroom is full of unsold gnomes looking rather forlorn. Less demand directly translates to less revenue for businesses, big and small. Their sales figures drop, their profits shrink, and a general sense of panic starts to set in among the business community. Faced with falling demand and shrinking profits, businesses have to react. What can they do? Well, they might try to entice customers by cutting their prices even further. But in a deflationary environment, this can just make things worse, reinforcing the expectation that prices will continue to fall. The main thing they do is look to cut costs. They'll try to reduce their overheads, maybe spend less on new equipment or delay expansion plans. And unfortunately, one of the biggest costs for many businesses is their workforce. This is where it gets really grim for ordinary people. This is the truly rubbish part. When businesses cut costs, it often means they have to lay people off. Fewer sales mean they don't need as many staff to make, sell, or manage their products and services. So people lose their jobs. That everything is cheaper feeling doesn't feel quite so good when you don't have an income anymore, does it? Suddenly those falling prices are no comfort if your wages have disappeared. The promise of affordable goods means very little to someone who can no longer afford to buy much at all. It's a cruel irony. And so a vicious cycle begins. Job losses mean more people have less money to spend, which means even less demand in the economy, which means businesses suffer even more, leading to more cost-cutting and potentially more job losses. It's a downward spiral, dragging the whole economy down with it. Deflation can lead to a recession, or even a depression if it gets out of control. It's like an economic black hole, sucking in spending, then jobs, then hope. It's a nasty, self-reinforcing loop that's incredibly difficult to break out of once it takes hold. So, if falling prices are secretly a disaster waiting to happen, what's the alternative? Is there a Goldilocks zone for prices? Well, most economists, those people who were mumbling over coffee earlier, believe there is. They generally prefer to see something called moderate inflation. Yes, inflation. That thing where prices go. But just a little bit. We're talking a small, steady, predictable rise in prices, perhaps around 2% per year. Not the crazy runaway inflation that makes your bread cost a fortune, but a gentle, manageable increase. Why on earth would rising prices be good? It sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it? But think about it. If you know that new sofa or that laptop is going to be slightly more expensive next year or even next month, you have a gentle incentive to buy it sooner rather than later. This encourages spending. It doesn't cause a mad rush, just a steady flow of demand. This keeps money circulating in the economy. Businesses see people buying their products, so they keep producing them, and they keep employing people to do so. It keeps the economic engine ticking over smoothly. This small, predictable level of inflation also makes it easier for businesses to plan and invest. They can anticipate their costs and revenues with a bit more certainty. It also means that wages can rise gradually over time. Furthermore, inflation erodes the real value of debt. If you've borrowed money and there's a little bit of inflation, the amount you have to pay back becomes slightly less burdensome in real terms over the years. This can be a good thing for individuals with mortgages or businesses with loans, encouraging borrowing and investment when done responsibly. So, to wrap this up, deflation, which seems like a dream come true with its promise of ever cheaper goods, is actually a bit of an economic nightmare. It encourages people to hoard cash instead of spending it, which crushes businesses and leads to job losses, creating a terrible downward spiral. A little bit of steady, predictable inflation, on the other hand, while not as immediately thrilling as a massive sale, helps to keep the economy healthy. It encourages spending, supports businesses, and helps maintain employment. It's not perfect, nothing ever is, but it's a darn sight better than the alternative of watching prices and then jobs just fall off a cliff.